We have a leaked document exposing the next Labour Party manifesto, and I can assure you this thing will destroy the country. From recreating an EU relationship, net zero measures on steroids, and working from home, damaging the economy. Okay, let's see how long it will take for the mainstream media to start talking about this. I'm going to predict and say they're not going to talk about any of this anytime soon. All right, on this channel, we're going to expose what's going on in the political establishment. We have some leaked documents suggesting the bullet points of what's going to happen inside the Labour Party manifesto. So they got the blueprint so far, and they're going to be getting to the detailed, and as they claim, they're going to make sure it's costed, as they always try to lie to the public. So, Keir Starmer also this weekend made a very controversial speech saying that he wants to completely change the political spectrum by bringing back Blair and Blairism, which is not really a big change because we currently live under Blairism since he left office. And all the other party leaders and prime ministers that we had essentially followed the same method, apart from Liz Truss, and then she was brought down. Otherwise, but there was David Cameron with his Cameroon politics, or anybody else since then. They've been doing the exact same thing. Anyway, let's look at this. So we got a couple of points. There are some areas that is a bit iffy. So obviously we're going to talk about the WEF green agenda. That's one of them, and digital future by centralizing all powers to central government. And we're going to talk about the EU relationship as well. On the green crap nonsense, he wants to add to extra investing. So this government is already very green and is spending a lot of money on these projects, but the Labour Party wants to, on top of that, invest another £28 billion of public money a year, by the way, a year, into green economy, alongside an active industrial strategy. So we know that they are claiming that these projects will create green jobs for all green areas. We get that. And they want to deliver that by 2030, especially clean electricity. 2030, that's not really enough time. And they're going with the target that was set by the globalist meetings that they've had over the last few years, and in Davos and many other places, the COP26, COP27, COP24, whatever they had. It's not really good enough, we know that, but it is going to be quite challenging considering he wants to completely destroy the economy while going green. He's going to be completely banning fracking in England, so that's a good start, guys. So we're going to be completely energy dependent on either foreign sources or green crap nonsense. And that is going to be quite difficult because they're not even committing to nuclear energy. And I don't understand how. If they are thinking that they could basically reject everything from clean nuclear energy to fracking to coal to anything that we have that could be cheap energy, how are you going to keep this country going, and how long will it take for it to collapse? So that's the green crap nonsense. And they have also mentioned that we are going to strengthen the size of the state and bureaucracy. So reaffirm the role of independent institutions. They're not independent, but okay. Like the OBR and Bank of England, and establish an office for value for money. What on earth is that? So they're going to create another quango, another bureaucratic body using taxpayers' money to pretend to claim that they are being scrutinized. We are creating accountability and transparency. Everything's going to be perfect. Yeah, we know exactly how these faceless bureaucrats implement their reports and predictions. They're not really that independent, are they, Keir Starmer? And that's why he's been cozying up to all these institutions in case he becomes Prime Minister. He's now best friends with CBI, although some of the people at CBI kicked him out. Now he's trying to become friends with the City of London. He's friends with the trade unions. He wants to become friends with OBR, Bank of England, IMF, the United Nations, the WHO, WTO, and everything. Because he does not like Westminster democracy. We've already exposed him a while ago on this channel. He said it publicly. He prefers Davos to Westminster, to Britain. He prefers not having that democratic accountability. He said it himself. Anyway, next one. Oh yeah, building EU ties. So voting to leave the EU and, well, technically leaving the EU was completely pointless because he wants to recreate that relationship through the back door, saying he wants to seek to improve the UK's trade and investment relationship with Europe while maintaining its new role outside of the single market. Yeah, good luck with that. Next, he says that he wants to obviously reduce trade barriers. Yes, the EU will say no to that unless you obey. We know that already. He also says that we will begin to develop long-term structures to ensure cooperation between the UK and EU in key areas such as the green and just transition, energy and food security, protecting supply chains and tackling cross-border crime. So we'll just be working with the European Union. So this whole independent Britain thing, don't worry about it. It's there on paper, we put a stamp on it, but it's not really true. If you think this government is bad, get ready for Starmer's government, guys. All right. Reform Westminster and devolve more powers. Oh my God. So he wants to increase devolution. So as we said, he wants to bring back Blairism, and part of Blairism was about devolution. Okay. They claim that they want to put power directly in the hands of the people of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. But that is an absolute and direct lie, because you are not actually decentralizing powers. You are empowering secondary centralized institutions, whether it's Holyrood or in Senate in Wales. This is not really giving power to people. You are giving power to those administrations. It's still centralization, and it does not work. It's more corruption, more waste, and more idiotic policies. Okay, so he does want to obviously focus on that sort of nonsense at the same time as abolishing the House of Lords. Now, a lot of people are frustrated with the House of Lords, even on the political right, but don't get excited about this, because he's not really going to do what you want to do. So he wants to abolish the Lords. He wants to establish a second chamber that is smaller, apparently, offers the taxpayer better value for money. That's a lie, because you're going to have more expenses for those members compared to the Lords, and is reflective of the regions and nations with elected representatives rather than political appointees. So I'm against political appointees as well, but I don't think turning into an elected Senate with more corrupt liars than politicians is a good idea. Introduce votes for 16 and 17-year-olds. Of course, we were waiting for that to be announced. This will destroy the soul of our British democracy. Now, they think that 16 and 17-year-olds are mature and wise for certain things, but they do believe for other things, they are children. They are not drawing a direct line somewhere, a solid line to make sure this is when you become an adult. So they are going to confuse the whole system even further by treating teenagers at times like adults. You can become prime minister if you want. You do realize that's what it means. If they get power to vote, that also means that if you're 16, you can become prime minister. Imagine having a prime minister who's 17 years old. That is absolutely dangerous. Anyway, more destructive ideas. Okay, this is good. So he wants to also increase the powers of the BBC to make sure nobody comes for the BBC. Yes, bolster the BBC's independence and ensure that it can continue to be a universal, publicly owned, publicly funded public service broadcasters. I think it should say public a couple of times more. Keir Starmer's document is completely chaotic. Are you kidding me with this? So, no BBC reform, and you think people are going to be so happy about this manifesto? Wow. Okay, so he also does want to introduce another regulator for English football. He's really focusing on top priorities of the problems in this country. Creating a regulator for football. Oh God, people can't really afford their rent and their energy bills and food, and he's talking about this sort of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, he also wants to empower the work from home scheme. So make a flexible working default from day one for all workers. So work from home, like the civil servants, his friends, who are working from home. But they say they're working from home, but we know exactly what they're doing. Probably watching Netflix. So if that becomes default, you do realize the damage that's going to have on the economy, whether it's high street, local economies, or just generally productivity. Certain jobs, certain industries, you can work from home. You can work from anywhere on your laptop. Certain other jobs, you need to be in the office or on the site somewhere. You can't really just have your brainstorming meetings on Zoom. It is not, you cannot monitor the employee and the workers properly if you can't see them. It makes no sense. Certain jobs is about project-based jobs. So you'd be like, okay, you have until 5 o'clock, get it done. And if you get it done at 1 p.m., then fine. You get paid as a contract. That's okay. But other jobs, what are we going to do next? Are we just going to keep kids at home and have the teacher teach them on Zoom? I know I'm exaggerating, but this is just an example of the future. To be fair, these people are the same idiots who want to introduce universal basic income. So you don't have to even work. You just stay at home, get bored, get depressed, lose productivity, lose your soul, lose your motivation, lose family values, lose community spirits. And then the whole country will be able to become like sheep because you'll be dependent completely on the state and the government to feed you. Is this what we want? Well, I don't. Anyway, and the last part is supporting trade unions. Well, obviously, I'm not really even surprised with this one because they pay his, well, freebies, whatever. The Labour Party is funded by these nutters. So strengthening and updating the rights of working people and empowering workers to organise collectively through trade unions. They can actually do that now, but all right. Repeal the Trade Union Act of 2016, minimum service levels. This is absolutely dangerous what they're going to do. They are going to give power not to the workers, but the trade union bosses. The same bosses who make so much money at the same time, go on holiday when there's some sort of strike going on. They don't really care. They don't get really damaged by any of these negotiations. And now we are going to see more chaos. And the same trade unions who are being supported by the Labour Party, the moment Labour becomes a Labour government, they're going to turn their back on them. They're going to have strikes under the same Labour government. This is not some random prediction. It's been happening anytime we had the Labour administration in power. Whether it was central government, under any of the Labour prime ministers we had in the past, you had chaotic strikes. So you would think that there's going to be friendly negotiations between a Labour prime minister and trade unions. No. The moment Labour politicians become government, the same trade unions will go robust and hard on the same government. Same thing happened in London under Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan promised in 2016 that we're not going to have a strike anymore in London because he can negotiate with the trade unions. We've had more strikes in London under Sadiq Khan than any other mayor or administration in general, or Lord Mayor. This is what we are. I'm just giving you a preview of Britain under this new Blairite Labour government. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure to share this video. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.